Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now excuse my appearance if I'm a little disheveled. That is because I just got out of the shower and it's a little windy out today. However, I figured that what I would do is that I would give you some impressions on 5 things I hate about my 2020 TRD Camry. No great car is without its drawbacks, but this car does have a few, and some of them I feel like you might want to know if you were looking at purchasing one of these. So we will jump right into it. Some of these will be subjective in my opinion. If you're looking at a car as a daily driver and something to kind of commute around, then only one of these will matter to you. So let's start with that one then, the big elephant in the room, the infotainment system. So we'll come on inside and I will show you what I mean. So stepping inside the TRD Camry, this is our infotainment system. Excuse the screen, it's a little bit dirty. So once you start the vehicle up, you get the Toyota logo, you get this fancy little animation that starts up. That's pretty cool, right? So here's the infotainment system. I had to reposition you guys. There's a lot of glare on the screen. So you'll notice that, you know, audio's off and all that stuff. It's just so laggy. Like, look at this. Like, I hit the apps button and thought about it for 5 years, and that's one of the issues. Engine app suite just doesn't work that great. It sits here with this pinwheel. I mean, you go to communications, notifications, no notifications. But if I say I want to go to infotainment, it sits here like this, and I've never gotten it to like not sit there like that. I've tried the update and all that stuff. It's just not. Then you hit menu. I feel like once it starts up, it gets a little faster, but like when you're driving, it's slower too, because like if you just want to hit this and you're driving, it's like, oh, let me think about it. And it's just not super intuitive the way that it works. So, and the infotainment screen is kind of clunky. It just doesn't, it's not very user intuitive. It's like you got to go through 6 screens to be able to get to where you want to be. I'll go ahead and show you that now. So basically what you end up doing is, say I plug my phone in with Android Auto. So I'm going to plug this in here. Android Auto is currently active. In order to use Entune Suite, please turn off Android Auto. That's fine. So, okay. It still says audio off. Now if you wait for about 3 years, it might start the music for you. But if you plug it in, to get the music to start, what you have to do is you have to hit audio, Android Auto, and then it will start. And I don't want to get copyright strikes, so I'll go ahead and shut that off. But you're still not into Android Auto. You're still not into Android Auto because like I said, you hit audio, Android Auto, you're still not in Android Auto. To get to Android Auto, you have to hit Android Auto. And now you're in Android Auto. So it's just, there's 20 different screens you have to go through. It's just not intuitive at all. And then you want to get to your map. What you have to do is you hit map. See, it took a little bit there, and then you've got that. And then you hit this, it should go back to your music. And then if you hit this, it'll pull up your apps. But see, I hit it, nothing happened. Hit it again. There we go, now it works. But it's just not super intuitive. There's a lot of screens you have to go through. And that's one of my big issues I have with this car, is just the infotainment system. And I'm not the only one saying that. There's a lot of people echoing that sentiment that it should be simpler. Now, don't get me wrong, I love where it is in the 2020. In the 2021, they actually moved it up to be a tablet, like in the Altimas and the Corollas. So what you have is you have this now screen sticking up here. And it looks like a tablet that's mounted to the dashboard. And it just doesn't look good at all because it impedes your visibility. And it's just not that great. I had a lot of complaints from customers on the tablet style and the Corolla saying that it impedes their vision and they don't like it. They like the Camry better for having it there. Issue number 2 with the TRD Camry. You see this fun little button here. That's for your traction control off, okay? Now, if I hit this, you'll see it says traction control turned off. That's a, what do we call it? A red herring. It's partially off. So if we want to shut it off completely, what you got to do is you have to, and I'll try and get this all on camera, hold it, hold it, hold it, there. Now it's off, and so is your forward collision warning, which kind of makes sense. And your stability control is off. But, oh, and then it flashes these at you, so you hit return, that's fine. Now, one of the big problems with it is the fact that it's still not completely off. There is no way to completely and utterly turn this stuff off because it still hinders you in ways that it shouldn't. Now, you might be asking yourself, pull the fuse. I'll get to that in just a second. So a lot of people say that they want to pull their fuse. Now, in order to completely and utterly disable it, you pull the ABS fuse. So in this car, there's 2 ABS fuses hooked together by a T-block junction. If you pull both of those fuses, ABS gets disabled, traction control is off, all of that stuff, which is what you would do if you wanted to use it on the track, which this car was kind of for. The issue is, with that T-block junction, the fuse box is built in such a way that it disables everything, and you can't even start the car. Massive demerit on Toyota's part there. I mean, I paid for this car with my money, so why would I not be able to pull the ABS fuse and have a really fun time on a track where it's safe? Not even talking about on the street, okay? But unfortunately, there's no way to fully disable those systems, which is something you would want to do if you were ever getting serious about any kind of performance driving. So I've got the wheel pretty high for me, just so that way you can see the gauges from where you are back there. So it's not very comfortable driving this right now, because I'm a little midget boy. But I'm going to show you what I mean, okay? So if you look at the center screen, and you can also see, I'm going to push the traction control button right here. So the first stage will let you do it. But since I'm driving, I'm still holding it. It will not let you turn off traction control, really, when you're moving. You have to be at a complete stop. And to me, that's just ridiculous. I think, why can't you? My Honda would do it while you were moving. My Challenger would do it while you were moving. Why can't I do it when I'm moving in this car? And that's just, there's so many blocks and locks and just shutouts in this car. And it just gets irritating that you can't do anything you want to do. And that's another one of my issues with this car. See, if I pull up to this stop sign here, and I stop, and I hold it, there, now it's all off. Now, this is something else that you'll notice if you look at the center screen. It says traction control turned off. Okay? And it's got that little back arrow button on top. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see it because the sun is glaring right now. However, and it's a school zone as well, it's telling me traction control turned off. So I'm going to hit this little exit button. And now you see we have our little speedometer there in the screen. That's pretty cool, right? Because, you have to know how fast you're... Oh. Well, okay. Traction control turned off. Nice, okay. Exit. It's a school zone. I'll be doing about 20, 23, wherever. Oh. Traction control turned off. Okay, I know. Thanks, man. I'll hold the button this time. Okay, cool. I held it. Maybe that'll help. Oh, traction control turned off. See what I mean? I can't use my digital speedo. This whole screen is now useless because I have traction control shut off. And unfortunately, there's no way around that. The screen is just going to be completely useless to me now because traction control is off. Just in case you didn't know. Just in case you didn't know that you just held the button for at least 5 seconds and had to come to a complete stop before you did it. Traction control is off. Just so you're aware, it's off. Okay, cool. Glad we're all on the same page. So now I have to read my analog speedometer like some sort of plebeian because, well, unfortunately, the car has to keep reminding you that traction control is off. I want to talk about another issue that I have with this car, and that is the fact that, well, not that it's an automatic, of course that is a big issue to me, but it's not a very good one, and I will go over that now. So, say, normal driving mode, that's fine, but you got these paddles here, they're nice, they're calling your name, you want to use them. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this little stick here, and this little stick, see now up there it says S5, that means we're in 5th gear. We're going to downshift into fourth because I like to keep the RPMs a little bit higher than I normally would. And it says S4. Now, here's the issue. Pushing the stick over, S, all that stuff, sequential, sport, whatever. This is manual mode, or at least this is what everyone at the dealership will tell you. It's manual mode. So that means that I should be able to change my gears by myself, which you can. Push it, you're in third, and then you shift up into fourth. And you downshift, it gives you a nice little throttle blip on a downshift. Slow, but it does give you a throttle blip. But my issue is how slow the upshifts are. I mean, it's like you hit it, it's supposed to immediately happen. And it thinks about it for a few years, and then it'll do it, especially when the car's cold. Now, when the car's cold, don't try and use the paddles at all, because one, you're not supposed to, because it'll put extra stress on the engine if you're revving it real high. Two, it's so slow to actually shift. When it's warm, not so much. Downshifts are nice. I like downshifts. But here's one of the biggest issues I have with manual mode. Are we ready? No hands on the paddles. It shifted for me. Why would you shift for me? I mean, if I'm in manual mode, I'm supposed to be able to shift myself. But it does change gears for you. So, manual mode isn't really manual mode. It's use the paddles, but I'm still going to dictate what RPM you shift at because I'm an automated vehicle and I'm an automatic. So that's another big issue I have with the car. It will shift for you. Some people say if you disable traction control, it will stop that from happening. Now, that used to be that way. It used to be that way in the old Camry SEs and Avalons and stuff like that. But the new generation took that out completely, and there's no way to keep it from shifting for you. So that's not cool in my book at all. I mean, I like being able to use the paddles. Also, it will only let you downshift into first if you're under 2,500 RPM, even though it only will rev up. When you change gears, it only comes out to about 4,000 RPM, 4,200 RPM. It dictates when you can downshift, and it will automatically upshift for you. And that's just a big issue for me in my book. Another demerit on the fun factor of this car. But another issue I have with this car is this button right here. This is your parking brake. I hate to break it to you. This car doesn't have a traditional handbrake. So that means no slides, no front wheel drive burnouts, any of that type of stuff. A lot of you are going to say, Kyle, you shouldn't nitpick at stuff. But that's the issue. All of those things together makes fun factor 0. I mean, this car, it looks really cool, and it looks like it's ready to tackle the track and get down and dirty and slide and be fun. But it's an automatic, not a very good one at that. It's got a traction control system you can't really disable. It's front wheel drive. It's got no handbrake. All of those things together means fun factor 0. And it's like this. I'm going to use this analogy, and hopefully I don't get too much flack for it. It's like meeting this really pretty young lady at the shopping mall. She's got kind of a low-cut top, some short shorts. You go up and talk to her, because you're like, hey, she looks good, right? And then you find out she's a devout Christian who is saving any kind of physical contact or sexual activity until after marriage. It's just an instant, oh. And she looks good. It looks like, she'd be fun, but she's a really big tease. And unfortunately, that's what this car is. It looks like it's fun. It looks like it's ready to go. And it's just not. I mean, yes, it can carve some corners and be a little bit of fun at the track. But without the ability to disable traction control, with it being an automatic that doesn't let you shift when you want to shift or hold out when you want to hold out, with it not having any kind of a handbrake to be able to get any kind of sideways in at all, like at all, it's just not, I mean, you're going to have to scanny flick it to be able to get it in. And I've gotten the back to step out a little bit. If I'm like, maybe like, there's this one roundabout by my house and it's got some bad camber to it. So it's already kind of squirrely to take. And if I'm going around it, say about 20, and then I put a little bit of brake pressure on, the back will kick a little bit, just barely, and then you catch it. And the problem is, to be able to really like throw it around corners, just being a front wheel drive, you got to get that weight transfer right. So you got to toss it in while being on the brake, which will get the back to swing, and then there's no carrying the slide. You have to either throw it in super hard and then pull it out with the front tires if it's a tight corner. But if it's like a broad corner that you want to carry a slide through, it's just not going to happen in a front wheel drive, especially one without a handbrake. And it's just any performance driving that this car has to offer is hindered by the fact that it's a slush box automatic with no real performance features or fun caveats to offer, apart from a decent V6 soundtrack that really isn't all that great, and of the ability to go fast in a straight line. It's just not all there. And unfortunately, that's why when people ask me, what are your plans for the TRD, the only thing I have to say to them is, get rid of it. And I mean, that's really about it. I mean, I've thought about putting a cold air intake on it or, you know, doing some things to it, but then immediately I'm reeled back in by the fact of, do I want to waste my money? Because this car will never be what I want it to be. This car will never be what it needs to be, which is a fun, throw around, you know, get aggressive with, you know, toy, and it's just a Camry with a body kit. And I think it will forever be that no matter what I do to it. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell to get notified of when I upload. Hopefully there will be more car reviews coming to the channel. With everything going on right now, it is hard to find people that want me to review their cars, and there's not a lot of interesting cars around where I live. So hopefully I will get some more content out, but gaming content will also be coming to the channel more, some movie reviews, kind of dabbling in other things, because I'm trying to get different content into the channel to see what does well. The car reviews seem to do a really good job, so hopefully, you know, I'll have more of those coming out. And then some of the gaming does okay, depending on what it is. But hit the bell, get notified when I upload, and comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. But I will see you, special friends, in the next video.